Welcome to Biohacking with Brittany. Thank you for tuning in today. I am a registered holistic nutritionist and advanced fertility nutritional advisor and podcaster, content creator, and just happy that you are here listening to me on your walk, on your drive, if you're getting ready in the morning, whatever you're doing. Those are kind of the spots where I listen to podcasts. So I just imagine that that's kind of what other people do as well. I actually also listen to them while I clean. Yeah. Basically, any time that I can consume content, I am. It's probably not a good thing, but I do consume a lot of podcasts. So I value you listening to me, whatever you are doing right now. Thanks for having me join you. Today's episode is all about trauma and big T trauma, little T trauma, and the difference between those and what that even means. And really how you can kind of heal through trauma in a very holistic way. You know, we've all been through trauma. Some of us more than others. Some of us, it's like this one-off event. Some of us, it's chronic or things from childhood. And, you know, I think it kind of sits in the body. And, you know, there's that book actually called The Body Keeps the Score, which talks a lot about that. So this episode is really diving into that trauma and what we can do about it and how can we not let it fester and become something bigger and then, you know, have symptoms and issues and conditions and way more problems that can then stem from that trauma that we have not faced and healed and worked through mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all those things. So I think this is one of those episodes where I think honestly everyone should kind of listen to it. No matter where you are in your journey with health and wellness and your own trauma, I think there is something valuable here for you. And a shout out to the DM of the day, the DM of the week, whatever it is. I guess it's the day. This one's really nice. I always screenshot them and I keep them for when I record these intros. So this woman reached out and she wrote me this DM on Instagram and she said, "My little one is really struggling with her gut from the moment she was born. She is 4 now, and I think she's intolerant to milk protein and gelatin. But because it isn't a severe reaction, there's very little help in getting her gut stronger, exploring it all on my own. And it's pages like yours that make me want to make sure I learn and try everything. So thank you for everything you do and share. I have followed you and incorporate your lifestyle before I became a mom because I am a mom and determined to do the same for my little one." Thank you so much for that. Very encouraging. And I'm sorry that your little one is dealing with gut issues. That's really troubling. And it's difficult when they're babies and children because, you know, you can't really do what you can do for an adult. So, and I am in no way an expert in that space. Like I cannot make recommendations. So I will not make recommendations. But I think kudos to you for doing the research, seeing what you can do, and then seeing what's appropriate. Like if I was in your position, I would probably be doing the same thing. And I would be looking at like getting her, I think it was a girl. Yeah. Oh, getting her tested. Like I would look at like functional medicine testing, GI map testing, food sensitivities, even maybe those types of things. I don't know the ages of that. Like I don't know when you're supposed to do that or start doing that, but I would definitely be going down that rabbit hole because I think when it comes to the gut, you really want data and you really want information. So I think that's where I would start. And then of course, like, you know, looking at nutrition, looking at diet, implementing whole foods, fermented foods, those types of things. I'm assuming that there are like child appropriate probiotics. I would be surprised if there weren't. I haven't looked into it, but I'm sure there are. So things like that I think would be helpful as well. But yeah, the testing is probably the biggest thing that will move the needle for you. If you want to be DM of the week, or I guess I got to stick to one name, DM of the day, you just send me a message and I will read it. It's always anonymous. Sometimes it is like about people's health and they ask me questions. Sometimes it's just like sharing love and we just, you know, love to shout out and love to, you know, continue to build this community that we have that I really cherish and somehow have built into something bigger than I ever thought it would be. So thank you for that. And today I want to do a shout out to Bioptimizers. I am obsessed with their magnesium, and I know you are as well because I see how many of you buy it every time I talk about it. They have the best magnesium on the market. It is 7 different types of magnesium. So magnesium, arguably most people are, deficient in magnesium, and it can show up in a lot of different ways. So things like headaches, constipation, irritability, anything with mood, the inability not to sleep properly, fall asleep fast, stay asleep, those types of things. If you have a lot of stress in your life right now, stress really depletes magnesium. So does alcohol. I know a lot of people drink a lot more alcohol in the summer. So if that's you, your magnesium levels are likely lower right now. And so we really need to replenish it. Unfortunately, we just can't get enough from our food. Our soil is not at that point anymore. Our food is not at that point anymore. Our soil is depleted because of monocropping. So I take magnesium every single day. I've been taking magnesium for 3 years, something crazy like that. I have my husband on it. I have my brothers on it. I have my dad on it, my mom on it, everybody, because I think it is so important. The best thing about the one from Bioptimizers is that it has 7 different types of magnesium in it. So you don't have to worry oh, I'm getting leg spasms or leg cramps. I need this specific type of magnesium. Or the next day, I have a headache. Oh, I'm supposed to be taking magnesium citrate, a different type. You just have one that's full spectrum. So you don't have to think about it, which is why I take it one and done. You know what I mean? So that's magnesium breakthrough by Bioptimizers. Use my discount code. They have a special sale on magnesium all summer, July and August. And I really suggest you do that. My discount code is BioHackingBrittany in all capitals. Gets you the most amount off. I say it every time because it's true. And a shout out to Mimeo. I actually just heard Mimeo on Ben Greenfield's podcast recently. He did a really interesting podcast episode all about biomimetics and dietary mimetics and exercise mimetics, and basically these supplements that you can take that mimic different things like exercise or a healthy diet or fasting. And then he started talking about Mimeo, and Mimeo is one of those. It mimics fasting in the body. It mimics a 36-hour fast, which is wild. So if you don't want to fast and you want the benefits of it, you should try it. It's got 4 different ingredients in it that are all found in the body. Super helpful. And I think it's for anybody who wants to fast but can't because of, it's too restrictive and it causes, negative symptoms for them. Or for people who are super into longevity and cellular health, I think that is for you as well. That is spelled MIMIO. And you can use my discount code BiohackingBrittany and you can get a nice discount at checkout as well. Everything is always linked to my show notes. It's really easy for you. It's always there. And it's on my website. If you go to my website, biohackingbrittany.com, and you click shop, it literally has all of the products right there for you that I have ever, maybe not ever, but that I affiliate for. So you can go check those out. Enjoy this podcast episode. This is all about trauma, like I talked about. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. Yeah, we all have trauma. So there's nothing to be shamed or feel shame about. And it's just about healing and working through it. I will catch you soon for another one. Welcome to Biohacking with Brittany. I am thrilled that you are listening today for another episode. We are getting into all things trauma today, which is really exciting and very interesting, actually. And I have a trauma therapist and biohacker on the show with me, who is Oneg Shapira, and she is the author of The Phoenix Awakening, Rising Up from the Ashes of Trauma. So we're going to talk about her psychological and biological approaches, her insights on transforming trauma, her biohacking techniques for recovery, which I'm super curious about, and other practical steps for healing. So Oneg, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Hi, Brittany. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So I would love for you to kind of start with your earlier career journey or even your personal journey, and what kind of drew you to the field of trauma therapy in the first place?
Yeah. So my journey into this field has been deeply personal and influenced by my own experiences with trauma and with a unique neurological condition that actually prevents me from recognizing people by their faces. So it's called prosopagnosia and visual agnosia. It means that I am unable to recognize people by their faces, and I rely heavily on secondary cues like body language, tone of voice, and emotional energy to connect with people. So dealing with such a limiting condition, because it is a limiting condition, along with problematic dynamics in my family, I saw the impact of unresolved trauma and unhealthy family dynamics on mental health. And it motivated me to pursue psychology and therapy.
Wow, that's so fascinating. I've never heard of that medical condition before. And what did that kind of look like for you? Like, when did you get diagnosed with that? How did you realize that maybe something is different for you compared to other people?
Yeah, that was actually very difficult to understand, to know. Most of my life, I didn't know about it. So I thought other people sees the world exactly as I am. It's just maybe they are less embarrassed as I am about meeting with people. And I thought I connected it to my insecurity, not to a condition that exists because people don't know much about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I could only imagine how difficult that was for you. So, obviously you have this very personal thing that you have gone through, which led you to working in the trauma field and really thinking about, okay, how do I heal this? How do I heal myself? And then obviously, how do I heal others, which is a very beautiful thing. And then you went to the army. So like, how did that transpire, and how did that change kind of your approach to trauma therapy?
Well, I had this unique perspective even before I knew about it. So it's like I'm seeing beyond the masks people wear and truly understanding their core. So this perspective helped me to be good at understanding people. And actually, that's why I was selected to train people, train combat soldier in the army to peak performance using biofeedback. So it was extremely interesting to use this technology to peak performance. And today I use it to heal trauma.
Can you dive into that just a bit? I'm just curious, like, how did neurofeedback and soldiers, like how did that look like, and how did it benefit them?
Yeah. Well, when we think about the army, we know that we have some missions that should be done with clear mind, and still it's under extreme pressure. So what we wanted to do is to train those soldiers to be completely relaxed, to relax their body and their nervous system, and in order to function best they can in their job, in their mission. And it's different from one person to another. And it's actually very interesting that people don't know themselves as they think. And when they use biofeedback, and I not only neurofeedback that it's about the brain, but biofeedback that it's about the nervous system, which encourage people to engage with active techniques like rhythmic breathing and progressive muscle relaxation, rather than only try to influence their brain waves using neurofeedback. So biofeedback, yeah.
Yeah. So for those listening who potentially don't know what biofeedback is, like, how would you explain it to somebody?
Yeah, it's a technology that includes sensors that we connect along the body. and measure in real time some of our automatic and essential processes in the body and functions inside the body, like our heart rate and temperature and muscle tension. We can measure a lot of functions that relate to stress response, to our stress responses. And then we can train those, we can gain control over those functions using techniques like breathing and meditation and some thinking exercises that we can influence on those functions in our body and change our biology to be and train ourselves to be resilience and adaptive, that we can be more flexible in our stress responses.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. And I think it is useful, especially for soldiers, but I think it is useful for anybody. And that's what you do with your patients or clients now, is like you work with biofeedback and then you also do cognitive behavioral therapy with them as well.
When we think about trauma, when we talk about trauma, it's important to understand that trauma is a physiological response. It changes the brain and it changes our nervous system. So the first step we need to do is to learn how to regulate our body and to restore the balance to our nervous system. Because people with trauma don't remember how it feels to be in a relaxed muscle body. So we need to remind them and help them gain the skill to do that on their own. And only then we can go to building new narratives and really dive into a specific trauma experience. We need to first learn how to relax our body and how to, not confuse between being safe and feeling safe.
How can somebody know if they feel safe in their bodies? Like, what are the kind of things that you look for if someone is not in a relaxed state all of the time?
Traumatized people don't rely much on their senses because of the painful experiences and the hyper arousal in their body. Their brain is rely on learned history than on the senses. That's why practicing mindfulness and reconnect with the body, it's so important, because they need to understand the surrounding, the environment, and understand that it's not, let's say, be afraid. It's not the same like being in danger. So we want to teach them and to reconnect with their body and with their senses. So if you find yourself be able to reconnect with your environment, to understand where you are, to connect to your senses, there is actually a good exercise that we call 4-3-2-1, and we use it as a mindfulness skill to connect with the environment, to be mindful in the present moment. And it's really good exercise. And there's also a short version in my YouTube channel, so you can try it for yourself. And when you see the difference between what you think and what you feel, then you break free from this illusion of trauma. So biofeedback is really helpful and beneficial in those cases, because you don't have to do it alone. You can see what's happening in your body in real time. So you can educate yourself how it feels to be completely relaxed, even though you might not fully feel or understand it. So biofeedback, it's really a great tool to integrate when you heal from trauma.
Let's talk about Mimeo, a breakthrough longevity supplement that hacks your biology to help you look and feel younger. It was created by PhDs in nutrition from over 7 years of clinical research, and Mimeo was designed to mimic the longevity benefits of fasting in a simple daily pill. Not only has Mimeo been shown to extend lifespan in animals by 96%, but users have been able to take as much as 2.5 years off their biological age in just 8 weeks. How? Mimeo's groundbreaking biomimetic formula uses a patented blend of all natural metabolites that work together to help your cellular health from the inside out. First, there's OEA, which is a metabolic supercharger clinically proven to help control appetite and promote fat metabolism so you can crush those cravings and silence food noise throughout the day. Then there's spermidine, the cellular autophagy activator, helping clear out cellular junk to boost cognition, clear brain fog, and refresh your cells. Next, there's nicotinamide, a broad spectrum NAD+ booster that's been shown to improve everything from metabolism to skin glow to immune health. And lastly, there's PEA, one of the body's most powerful rest and repair molecules that helps control inflammation, relieve discomfort, and enhance recovery so you can get that youthful energy back. Mimeo is designed to work like a super fast, super efficient fasting diet, but without actually having to fast. It's all about tapping into the power of your own biology, giving your body the cheat code to work its best, making you feel younger and healthier today. You can try Mimeo today. Use my discount code at checkout, which is BioHackingBrittany, and you can get all of these benefits in a simple supplement today. Again, that's BioHackingBrittany in all capitals. So definitely try it and let me know what you think. I love that. Yeah, I'm definitely going to look at that, your 4-3-2-1 exercise on YouTube, because I'm curious to see how it feels and to go through it and assess my own biofeedback, my own body and how that feels. I love that we can get into trauma because I think that's like the key thing here that we're talking about is this idea of, typically when we think about trauma is like, there is this event that happens that is, catastrophic. It's big, it's hard, it's pretty bad. I don't know what other words to use, and then we have to recover from this trauma, right? But I also know that there's a difference between big T trauma and little t trauma that people talk about. So I think big T trauma is like that idea of this event. And then little t trauma is like chronic trauma or like trauma that happens over a long period of time. What do you kind of think of that when people talk about trauma in those different ways? Do you agree with that of like separating it between like this one thing that happened versus this thing that's happened over, a long period of time?
Yeah, that's a good question because people we have this misconception about trauma, but trauma doesn't have to be from this big catastrophic event, and it can come from prolonged stress, neglect, or even repeated minor stressors that build up over time, what we call microtraumas. So, for instance, growing up in a home where emotional needs aren't met can be just as damaging as a single traumatic event. So, this diverse range of trauma origins can affect individuals in various ways and lead to physical symptoms like chronic pain, psychological issues like anxiety and depression, and even impacting one's sense of identity, because trauma is kind of an identity loss. So we have those microtraumas, but we have also those intergenerational trauma, that it is the transmission of emotional and psychological effects from one generation to another. It stems from the unresolved traumas of previous generations like violence, abuse, or major social disruptions that affecting the family dynamics and individual mental health. So actually the book is about those kind of trauma, microtraumas and intergenerational trauma that are often overlooked. Yeah, but when we understand that trauma is a physiological response and it can stem from those origins as well, I think we start to honor and respect our experiences and not dismiss it.
I love that. I think it's so interesting you talk about intergenerational trauma. Like that is something that I don't hear a lot about. And I'm curious about, like, how do we make sure that we don't pass that on to our next generation, regardless of what we've gotten from our parents. I don't know if I mean, obviously biofeedback is like, one of your recommendations for that. But beyond that, like, what would you say for those of us who are very conscious about that trauma and like not wanting to repeat the pattern?
Well, that's actually why I wrote this book, because I do want people to be on a self-discovery journey. It can serve those on their healing journey, but also those that don't fully understand or know about their invisible wounds. So we want to be able to look inside and do the exercises, the writing exercises that inspired by cognitive behavioral therapy, to see the connection between our beliefs, thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. And we want to look for patterns. We want to find those negative patterns that can be something that we might took from our parents or our family. And then we want to understand and with ourselves what we want, let's say, who we want to be, because trauma is an identity loss. But when we want to heal from trauma, after we discover our invisible wounds, we want to do an identity leap. So we want to ask ourselves, what are the feelings that I do want in my life? What are the interactions that I want in my life? And understand that we have the power to choose different path. We don't have to go the same path as our parents and their parents. We can break the cycle of pain.
Yeah, I love that. I think you're spot on with your recommendations. I know you are a biohacker and you are into biohacking, which is great. I guess, how did you first even get started into biohacking? Like, biofeedback is definitely a biohacker thing to do. But aside from that, how did you learn about this field in the first place?
Yeah, I have a holistic approach to healing that combines psychology, biology, and spirituality. So it felt very natural to also use and combine innovation and technology in my practice. So I started to research and to try for in my own journey to heal and to grow from trauma and understand the deep effect of self-care on my journey, on my healing. And it was so powerful. And that's how I learned about biohacking. And I see it as an holistic approach to well-being. I mean, it's not only how you think and how you feel. It's also the water you drink, the way you eat, uh, moving your body, all of these things that relates to biohacking, to take responsibility and conscious choices to well-being, to feel better, to change your story. It's something that really touched my heart and my soul. And I started to learn more and I got addicted to it.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, that happens to a lot of us when we start learning about it. Yeah, biohacking obviously emphasizes optimizing human performance across the board, whatever like area that is in. And I love how you focus on such a holistic point of view. That's kind of what I do as well. I think that's like the beautiful thing about biohacking. When we talk about trauma and people recovering from trauma, whether it's like a single event or it's this micro events that you're talking about, what are some of the top biohacking strategies that you recommend for people who are kind of going through that right now?
So biohacking can be incredibly useful in trauma recovery. And actually, I know that there's a lot of people in that field that were introduced to biohacking because of some repressed trauma. So I think there's a lot of technology and techniques that we can use from this world, from this field to trauma healing and trauma recovery and even post-traumatic growth, that this is a new approach in trauma therapy field. Some top strategies include obviously mindfulness and guided meditations to help regulate the nervous system. And it's something that it's free and accessible. And I think everyone should do it daily to do this daily checking with their body and with their mind and learn how to relax the body, how to do self-regulation, because it's not the same. When we talk about relaxation, we actually need to take a break and like do a 10 minutes guided meditation or relaxation. But when we talk about self-regulation, and it's something that I talk about and give examples in the book, we talk about these short, effective exercises that we can do during the daily activities in order to restore balance immediately to the nervous system. So go back to the strategies and the tools, neurofeedback and biofeedback, again, fantastic accessories and let's say not accessories, something that we can use in our healing journey, integrating into our journey to recover from trauma. Rhythmic breathing exercises, something that it's so powerful. And, people think about breathing as some single method, but it's actually a category. And each breathing techniques can influence differently on the body. So those good examples as well. But I use technology like BrainTap. I love the combination between sound and light and the meditations there. It's so powerful, really. I use it with my clients and it's not, well, there's no enough words to say how effective it is. So yeah, I recommend it. And also tools like Sensate and Ivana and Apollo that works on the vagus nerve that it's like a shortcut to regulate the nervous system. So it's something that you can wear and do the work for you. So it's great. I love those technologies. And yeah, I love also the red light therapy because it's not only good for your skin, it's also good for your mood. Yeah.
Nice. I love those. And I've used all of those. The Sensate I used for a long time. And what else did I use? I have the other ones that you mentioned, the Apollo as well, and the red light therapy devices, definitely. I think it's really interesting when we look at the vagus nerve and we think about how to stimulate it in order to get into that relaxed state. And the way that you can actually stimulate it without any device is through singing or humming, because it actually, like, the vibration vibrates against the vagus nerve. And if you think about it, it makes sense, because if you're humming or singing, think about the state that you're in, the mind frame that you're in during that time. Like, you're happy, you're calm, you're like washing the dishes, humming or singing, or you're singing in the car, right? Like, it's a very relaxed time. And so for those people who've never tried any of those devices or don't really understand the vagus nerve, like, that's such an easy way to understand it, is like, just start singing or humming your favorite tune and feel the vibration down, like on your chest bone in the middle. And then you can kind of feel tapping into that more relaxed state. So I think that's like an excellent biohack for trauma therapy in any way. There's so many different ways that you can even look at it. Like I would also think about like nutrition and sweating and exercise, even if it's just for the endorphins that come from that, I think is beautiful. And then a top one for me, not that I'm a specialist at all in this trauma space, but for me, when I've gone through stressful periods in my life, like the sauna has been this like sanctuary for me that I have been able to use to help heal and recover.
Yeah, that's amazing. I also do sauna, and it's so relaxing, and something new that I researching is all about frequency medicine. And I use also Leela Quantum blocks and cards to work with my clients, and scanning. There's this company, Solexao Scan. They can scan the voice and give an output of about the feelings that we might repress and those that we use too much in order to not to deal with those that are hidden beneath the surface. So it's extremely powerful when we bring it to the clinic, when we can start a conversation around emotions, because it's it feels so obvious and natural, but people don't talk about their emotions. And something that I find interesting, that using frequency, give them a relaxed environment to start talking about it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And yeah, it's like, how do you create that space that makes people comfortable and they can tap into that relaxed state,
Well, I think when we go back to the condition that I have, it's something that, well, it's a unique perspective that give people like a permission to be themselves and to be comfortable with being authentic, because they don't need to put any masks, because it doesn't matter to me. I see them as they are, because the way to recognize them is by their feelings. So they don't need to pretend around me. And when I add to it technology like frequency scanning or Leela block, it's something that give them not only the, let's say, validation that it's okay to feel all kind of emotions and you don't have to pretend. It's also giving them like hope that they can realign with the emotions and with their feelings. So it's like harmonizing their feelings. So we get to talk about it. We get to observe it, and then we can harmonize it using those technologies. So it's really amazing to see it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think that's such a good way to look at it. And I love Leela Quantum Tech. I have multiple of their products throughout my home. And I'm sure for you, as somebody who is so tapped into frequencies, like more than I am, I'm sure that it's very interesting using products like that, because you would feel or see, or I guess feel the difference more than someone like me who trusts that they're doing what they're doing, but doesn't necessarily have the ability to tap in as much. If there's one mineral you should be worried about not getting enough of, it's magnesium. Magnesium is the body's master mineral. It's powerful, and it's involved in over 600 critical reactions, including hormone balance, stress management, sleep quality. Even digestion is influenced by the presence of magnesium. But there are two big problems here. One, magnesium has been largely missing from US soil since the 1950s, which explains why it's estimated that up to 75% of the population may be deficient. And two, most supplements contain only one or two forms of magnesium, when in reality, your body needs 7. The only magnesium supplement on the market that has the full spectrum of all 7 forms is called Magnesium Breakthrough by Bioptimizers. This is my favorite. I've been taking it for over 2 years. That's why I'm so excited to tell you that I was able to arrange a killer deal for you for this summer. You won't find this deal on Amazon or even on the company's own website. This deal is exclusively for my audience, and it's for a very, very limited time and only while supplies last. So right now you can actually get a bottle of Magnesium Breakthrough for free. Like actually, you get it for free. I'm not kidding. So go now to my website that they made for me, which is magbreakthrough.com/biohackingbrittany free, and get your bottle of Magnesium Breakthrough for free today. Again, that's magbreakthrough.com/biohackingbrittany free, and you get it for free. So go now. It's linked in my show notes of this episode, and it's linked on my website so you can find it really easily, or just DM me and I will send it to you as well. All of us should be on magnesium, and this is my absolute favorite one to take.
Yeah, it's really fascinating because I tested also on people that with autism and on my pets and on elderly population. So it's really interesting to see how it influences on them. But yeah, because I recognize people based on their energetic signature, which is something that I learned about, that it's something that I thought everyone can sense. Now I know that it's something that it's unique, and it's like the brain compensate on this limitation or limiting condition that I deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. I also like that you talk about spirituality in your work. I think that's like a key component that a lot of people kind of gloss over and might not necessarily understand. How do you kind of help or use that to help people with their healing and their trauma work?
Yeah, well, I would say that when I think about the book and how it designed, so there's 3 main parts. The first part is about learning about trauma, understanding trauma, and uncover your own invisible wounds. And there's exercise to do there. And the second part is about walk the talk, right? To do the work. And the third part is about spirituality and about embrace the Phoenix identity and learn about your core value and how to align with your core value and your beliefs, and understanding who you are and who would you like to become. And well, we need to believe in something. That's what I learned in this profession, that we need to believe in something that is bigger than us. And we can give it all kinds of names, but it doesn't matter. What matters that we feel the unconditional love from some kind of source that support us. So the third part is about understanding that, exactly that. What is it that you believe? What it means to you to live life with authenticity? What are your core values? How you learn to live life of contrast and conflicts with excitement.
Yeah, I really like that. And that's kind of been my viewpoint on spirituality and religion, for quite a while now. Both of my parents are quite religious, and I am not. Like, I just don't identify as that, but I would identify more of like on the spiritual side, understanding that there's like more than what we see in life, and knowing that there's like bigger things at play here. And with my parents or other people who are more religious than I am, I always think like obviously there's dark parts and things that aren't great. And like, we don't need to go into that. But I think that the belief in something else and the faith and hope and guidance that it can provide, it can actually be really healthy for most people and can be healing. And through things like prayer or studying the Bible or whatever, there is benefit to that. There are health benefits to that. It's like its own form of meditation, right? And then same with like things like church or groups that people go to. Community is super healthy for you. Friends, people you can talk to, who you can open up to, is really great for you, for your mental health and emotional well-being. So I don't have anything against any of it because you can actually see it in the data and like you can see it in how people act. The health benefits are really there for people who have that like strong religion or spirituality, whatever it looks like. It doesn't matter which one it is, what country, what culture, whatever. It does have an impact on your health, mostly in a positive way.
You don't have to be religion to be in order to be spiritual. And you can call it higher self or the universe or whatever you want to call it, but just to feel the connection with something that supports you and it's bigger than you and it loves you unconditionally.
Yeah, I love that. Yep. And I think, I don't know. I don't even have a label for what I call it, to be honest. Like, it's just this like knowing that there's more is like such a simple way to put it. And it's interesting how it kind of changes throughout life and what you see and what you think. But it is a part of healing and it is a part of biohacking. Absolutely. And it's arguably one of the parts of biohacking that is talked about the least, I would say, is this aspect. For whatever reason, maybe it's taboo or maybe people aren't comfortable talking about it.
Yeah, I think, well, for me personally, I experienced out of body experience and it was amazing. But until then, I was someone that is not such a big believer in those things. But it changed my perspective and I started to learn more about those phenomena. So we can talk about it, but I think we don't have that much time. Maybe in another time. But yeah, it's actually very interesting to talk about people that were experiencing those phenomena.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It is very interesting. It's pretty miraculous sometimes, the things that can happen, actually. A topic for a different show, like you said, but
Yeah.
I think you're spot on. Yeah. So if people want to work with you or connect with you, or maybe they're going through some sort of trauma themselves or micro trauma, how can they do that and where can they find you?
Yeah, so I would suggest for everyone that do the first steps in his or her healing journey, they can really start with the Phoenix Awakening. It's a good foundation and you can uncover your wounds and start to heal from the convenience of your home. So you can get yourself a copy and start your journey. You can order it on Amazon worldwide or through my website. And also follow me on social media because I share a lot of information, professional information, historic information about trauma, about healing, about resilience, biohacking. So also my Facebook, my Instagram, my YouTube channel that I try to upload as much as I can content, guided meditations and bites of inspiration, short videos that you can see and give you a boost for a good day. Yeah. And no, just to say that go for it. Don't wait any longer. Start to treat and heal your wounds. And remember that every small step counts. Healing is a journey and you have the strength within you.
I love that. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And I always do say that, like, healthy habits, every little one does make a difference. So I will put all of those links in the show notes and on my website so people can find you easily. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. This was great. And I definitely learned a lot from you.
Thank you so much, Brittany.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Biohacking with Brittany. If you're interested in finding the show notes or the sponsors for this episode, you can do so on my website, which is biohackingbrittany.com. Remember to follow me on Instagram, where I'm most active. My handle is @biohackingbrittany. And if you're interested in working together and you want to email me directly, you can do that. My email is info@biohackingbrittany.com. And I look forward to hearing from you and having you tune in next week.